Welcome to the video, and as you will have seen from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking all about the new release from Sony, which was announced a couple of months ago, which is their new G series lens, the 24-50 2.8. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know that I am a big fan of the G series lens lineup. All of my lenses fall under this umbrella, and due to the fact that I shoot with the Sony A7cII Mark II now, previously the Mark I think they are just the perfect complement to this lineup of cameras. So in this video, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts of this particular lens and its focal length, as well as how it does in fact complement the A7C lineup, so the A7C Mark I, Mark II and the Sony A7cII. I've managed to get my hands on the lens and actually try it on, so I wanted to share it with you. If it's something you're looking at purchasing and pairing up with one of those cameras, you might find this interesting and helpful to see how it feels, looks, and just have a little bit more of a think around this lens and what it could be used for. The announcement of this lens was a little bit interesting. I don't think anyone was particularly expecting it, but it seems to have been quite a hit. Effectively, I guess you could call it a replacement for the very popular 24-70 2.8, and that is a GM lens. There's a Mark I and a Mark II. Considerable improvements in the Mark II, especially in weight and size, but it is still a massive lens and still very, very expensive. So if you're shooting on a smaller setup, it's probably not quite the right fit. And I've actually tried it on my camera, and it's just huge. I mean, it's a beautiful lens and you can get some beautiful images, but personally, no way am I carrying that around. So this is where the 24-50 could come into play. An incredibly versatile focal range. Obviously, you're losing that 20mm on the top end, but it's still a pretty versatile range. Now, I have to be completely honest, this 24-70 or even 24-50 has never really been a firm favourite of mine in terms of focal lengths. But I can see how it could be quite useful, really, as, you know, a one-hit wonder lens. You could do quite an array of things and it would cover a lot of bases. And I think that it would probably be quite popular, especially with the added bonus of having f2.8. You can get that really nice blurred background and you get a nice fast lens, and it'll be much better in low light than a lot of the f4 lenses. I was really impressed when I got my hands on it. A couple of days ago, I managed to actually use it myself. I didn't get a chance to actually really shoot with it, but I got the chance to pair it up with my camera, and I will overlay some B-roll here. Disclaimer, I did actually film at the time, but I wasn't quite happy with what I filmed, so I'm re-filming the A-roll now for you here. But nonetheless, I got my hands on it and I put it on the camera. I initially actually swapped it with my 16-35 f4 PZ, which is what I'm currently filming on. And I have to be honest, not dissimilar in size and weight. In fact, I switched them over and then I kind of was moving around a little bit and I got a bit confused as to which one I had on the lens, and I had to check. They look very similar, and they've got a really similar feel, with the exception of, as you might expect, the 24-50. It's got a lot more weight to it, and it is a little bit bigger, to be honest with you. As you would expect, it's a 2.8 lens, so, you know, more glass in there, much faster lens, but it wasn't drastically different, and I certainly didn't feel that it made the camera feel unbalanced at all. So I thought it felt really, really nice. And actually, if you held it under the barrel, as you would when you were shooting, it almost felt quite nice to have that little bit of extra weight. Of course, with all the G series lenses, you get those really nice added features, like the hard features on the lens themselves. So you get your aperture ring, which you can click or declick, depending if you're shooting video or photo or whatever your preference is. You get a customizable button on the lens itself, which, if you've watched my previous videos, I absolutely love, and I use it for one specific thing. You can check that out up here. As well as the fact you get MF, AF switch, a hard switch on the lens itself, and you get the weather sealing that comes with G series lenses. Again, all for half the size, half the price, not quite half the price, but this lens comes in, let me just check it, at £1,150 here in the UK. So it's not a bad price for a really versatile and pretty fast 2.8 zoom lens. I think it's a great package. So if you shoot in that mid-range and you own one of the Sony A7C lineup cameras, I think you would actually be really, really pleased with it. Felt good, looked good. I would be very happy to shoot with it. But would I buy one is the question. For me personally, I'm not convinced, because I love that top end. I love the 50mm. I really like shooting a little bit tighter. And if you watch this channel again, you probably see that I shoot with my 40mm 2.5 prime, which is also in the G series lineup, and I love that lens. But I don't find much inspiration around the 24mm mark. I always want to go a little bit wider if I'm going that way. So for me, not to be picky and not that I'm going to get my choice with Sony, but if that was a 20 to 40 or 20 to 50, but I compromise on the top end a little bit and go 20 to 40, I would probably like sell all of my lenses in between and just go with that lens. That would be absolutely perfect. I have no idea whether that would cause an engineering nightmare and the lens would be super heavy and super big, but wow, 20 to 40 would just be primo for me. However, it's not. It's a 24 to 50. So I'm not sure, like, what do you think? Do you think this is a good focal range? Do you think it was a good release from Sony? Do you think it's something that you would use? I'd be really interested to hear what you think. So drop a comment down below. Hopefully at some point in time, I'll get the chance to borrow the lens properly and put it on my camera and go out for a little shoot with it. If you'd be interested to see that, also let me know. It'd be a nice lens to have a wander around with. I hope you found this useful. If you are thinking to buy this lens, it's just always good to think these things through and be quite mindful about your purchases and your lineup. And I find sometimes having too much gear just gives you a bit of a headache. So it's good to really be thoughtful about what you're buying and what kind of lenses that you've got. I always like thinking about these things, even if I'm not going to buy them. Every time a lens is released, I just think, is that something I would use? So let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.